Hi muckers, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and on this video today. I really appreciate you choosing to spend even a little portion of your day, morning, evening, night, wherever you are. Please let me know down below. That is my favorite thing. One of my favorite things about making videos, especially whenever I'm doing live streams, is figuring out where people are watching from, because it's so interesting to kind of see where all of the muckers are at. So if you're watching this right now, please let me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you whenever you click on this video. So I'm telling you, I will literally respond to all of you because that is my favorite thing to like figure out what people are doing. I've also realized that I've left one of my lights on that I never do when filming. So let's turn that off. We like as little light as possible. If you know me, whenever I take pictures with people, they'll be like, there's a ring light here. And I'm like, oh, but there's a dark room back there. We'll look fabulous in low light. Sorry, just something, the insecurities come through. But anyway, today's video is actually completely coming from one of the muckers. I think your name was Kelsey. I will read out Kelsey's email now. If you do not know, I have an email. It is called adammcintyreofficial@gmail.com. I go through it every single day. I don't have people like going through it. It's literally just me. So if you send me something, like, I will read it. For better or for worse, please be kind. And a lot of people, you know, will reach out and say that they have a video idea, or, you know, they have opinions on certain things that I've said and they want to write it in longer form than over comments. And I do love going through my emails. And I actually was really interested whenever I saw this email. If you know, I'm wearing a hoodie from it. I went to Little Mix's concert last night in London. It was so fun. It was their final concert for now. And I got this email while I was there, so I do want to read it out, and then we're going to go through. So, it says the following. Here, let me load up. Gmail, okay. Hey Adam, longtime mucker here, and wanted to say I love your videos and hope you see this. I did. When Trisha first announced her pregnancy, I started thinking back on all the drama she's been involved with younger people and younger influencers on any given platform, and how she has treated them, and we know that there is a lot. I immediately, you know, it was going in my head, I was thinking of the names. Not saying she would treat her child the same way, but it goes to show her condescending nature towards younger people when trying to prove her point. When she said she was having a daughter, I immediately thought back to her drama with Charli D'Amelio, and I sent you a couple screen recordings and YouTube videos of her TikTok live streams and Charli's TikToks talking about the drama with Trisha and with Charli, who was 16 years old at the time. And I think it's interesting to look back on the pattern of behavior. Okay, I love you so much, from Kelsey. Kelsey, I love you and thank you so much. Shout out and all love to Kelsey for this video. And so the videos that I got sent were, number one, Trisha's live stream talking about Charli D'Amelio, and then I have the TikToks that Charli made and Trisha's response on TikTok. Now, for a little bit of context, this was a couple months ago, I think even maybe a year ago now, when Trisha was on her binge of just coming for each and every single person on any given platform. This was whenever she was, you know, a little high and mighty from, you know, frenemies. There was a lot of clout there. There was a lot of love there. I can definitely hold myself up and say that I definitely fed into that. I definitely went into the illusion of, oh my god, my bathroom light's on too. Why does I need this energy bill as low as possible, babe. This electricity bill will not be getting skyrocketed today. There have just been so many things. I fed into the love of frenemies as well. I really did think we were seeing a different era of Trisha, and I don't know how many of you would say that you're guilty of that too, but it was just interesting to kind of look back on it now that, you know, I can definitely say that it was a pattern of manipulative behavior. It was a pattern of fake niceties that Trisha was doing, fake woke, if you will, on frenemies and on TikTok, and she definitely built a lot of credibility, as awful as that sounds, for calling people out, because she had called James Charles out, she called David Dobrik, Jason Nash out, and they were people who were, you know, above a certain age. They were all above 18 and actually above 21 at the time she was coming at them. And, you know, a lot of people were like, this is an adult coming for an adult. And there were a lot of moments where Trisha, and you know, people loved Trisha's response to all of those people. They were eating it up, the drama was great, and she was, for the most part, speaking truthfully in terms of, you know, she was making sense and rationally speaking about a lot of people. And because obviously her ego was probably at an all-time high for, oh my god, I'm calling people out, I'm getting millions, literally millions of views on TikTok and YouTube doing this. She was calling Ethan out as well. This was whenever they were fighting, and then they would go back to frenemies, then fighting, then going back. And there were a lot of moments where she definitely missed. And she was just, you know, dragging everyone and seeing which one stuck. And, you know, she wasn't really getting backlash for any of this. So it's interesting looking back on it now. And it's really like the first time she's really getting backlash for it when people are revisiting these things. But she came for Charli D'Amelio, who was 16 years old. And basically, when Charlie responded and she was upset and she was crying, keep in mind, this is literally a child. This is not even up for debate of, you know, she's not 18 or whatever. This was literally a child on social media. She was crying. She was like, Trisha Paytas is a bully. Like, I don't know why she keeps coming for me. And Trisha responds in a way that's basically like, I don't give a fuck that you're a kid. You signed up for this. If you want to cry on the internet, you're not getting my sympathy. And I think to revisit all of that now, which we're going to do, Kelsey, thank you so much for these clips. I think it really gives so much context for just, I'm not saying, I know that Kelsey said that this pulls, you know, a lot into question of how Trisha will treat her child. I'm not necessarily going to say that because I don't want to put any big statements out. However, to know that this was how Trisha was treating a high-profile literal child on social media whenever she was getting a lot of hate and harassment is definitely scary, to say the least. So we're gonna go through it anyway. The first one we're gonna watch is Trisha Paytas calling out Charli D'Amelio. So this was on Trisha's TikTok. So these were very public. These got millions of views, and this was what Trisha was pushing to the forefront of her social media, and then we'll get to the live stream. So this is initially Charli's response.
I'm just gonna say, Trisha Paytas, like, this is not, sorry, just, you have been completely rude to me multiple times, saying she doesn't have a personality, she can't dance, she's basic. Like, you have your own problems.
It's also important to note, so she goes on to say, Trisha, you have your own problems, like, focus on that. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna take people being like, Trisha's just responding back with the same energy. This is literally like a 16-year-old child. And also, Trisha has been on the record for months before Charli even responded, basically calling Dixie D'Amelio, who's her sister, the R word. She said that she thinks that, I just think that Dixie D'Amelio's a little bit, and then she says the R word, on Frenemies, by the way, and didn't get any backlash for that. And for months had been saying that Charli didn't deserve her fame, that she was boring, that she's a bad dancer, that she's just, that she's not grateful for her following, and there was just so much that she was saying towards this child.
Not mine. And that's all I have to say on that. Quite honestly, I just, like, please stop talking about me. You're not a very nice person. Sorry.
So, Trisha responds, now keep in mind, a child is being like, please stop talking about me, you're not being a nice person. And so this is how Trisha responds. And by the way, all these videos are loved and adored, by the way, because Trisha was in a spot with social media where people were actually listening to what she had to say. She was credible in calling out James and David for the most part, and Jason for the most part, and then she comes with this.
So Charli called me out on her live. Now Charli is a minor, so I'm going to try and just handle this with literal kid gloves because she is a child, and I understand that.
That's how she opens it? Just wait a couple minutes and you'll be like, oh, I forgot that she even said that. She took those kid gloves off and put on the fucking adult ones. Kid gloves.
Concerning how her parents raised her and that she's hanging out with James Charles because now she has adopted James Charles' mentality of the keep my name out of your mouth. She told me.
So Trisha then goes with the approach of trying to then take down Charli because she was seen with James at that time. Keep in mind, they're no longer seen together. Like, Charli D'Amelio's team and her have dropped James Charles. They now have a newfound friend group. So when Charli D'Amelio is coming for Trisha, being like, you're making fun of my personality, how I dance, you're calling my sister an R word, like all these things, Trisha completely brings it back to the James conversation, which a couple weeks after this was completely dropped anyway because James was kicked out of the picture. So I don't know why she's focusing on this conversation.
Not talking about her and that she's been rude when that I've been rude when she's literally the most followed person on social media.
So that's her excuse.
What she signed up for. And I haven't been rude. I've given constructive criticism as far as this situation goes because I really do feel for her, and I do think it is her parents' poor raising that gave them the manners that they have, and she lumped me in a
See how she just goes back and forth and doing like bitter points and then being like, but James Charles. So she's literally just coming at this child because she deems that Charli D'Amelio is rude and talentless. A child, by the way. And listen, it's so shocking and disgusting to like look back on the fact that if I had watched this a year ago, I would have been on Trisha's side. I would have been on Trisha's side because I would have been like, oh wow, you know, she's calling out Charlie for being around James and stuff like that. Yeah, well, this is a great point. And then I'm realizing that most of Trisha's points here are just backing up the fact that Trisha was completely degrading Charlie as a character, not that she was at that time friends with James. So it's so embarrassing to me knowing that a year ago I would have been defending this and being on Trisha's side, because her morals here are not like defending her from James Charles. Her morals here are just trying to come for someone who's really popular, who's getting her a lot of views. Isn't it like weird to look back, because we followed this so like rigidly, look back on like a year ago what your opinion was on this? It was probably either for Charlie or against Charlie, so on Trisha's side. And I'm pretty sure that mine was against Charlie, and I'm like, wow. I mean, at that time I would have been similar age to Charlie, but I mean, still, that's not an excuse. And it's like, shit, we were so, I'm gonna speak for myself here, caught up in, like, oh my god, Trisha's trying to call out James Charles, this is great. And then you realize when watching this back and knowing Trisha's morals, no, she was just trying to come for a kid. Like, she wasn't coming for the James Charles thing. She was just focusing on the fact that she thinks that Charli D'Amelio is ungrateful because she has 100 million followers, which has nothing to do with Trisha. So it's so embarrassing to know that this time last year, I would have been like, yes, Trisha, like, tell her about James. And then I'm realizing that most of the things she's calling her out for are just weaponizing against Charlie's personality. And it's embarrassing to know that I would have been defending this probably.
People telling her to kill herself, which I've never encouraged, nor have I encouraged hate or anything. I was always saying stuff with constructive criticism.
Bullshit.
So she specifically goes on to say, Trisha Paytas, you have your own problems. Stop worrying about mine.
Now, keep in mind as well, at this time, which is just so embarrassing that I would have defended this. Oh, I actually didn't with this one, but, sorry, I'm getting confused. Dixie D'Amelio then did a dance, and it was like it was a song of Trisha singing the N-word, like, over and over again or something like that, and Dixie D'Amelio did a dance to it. And I remember calling Dixie D'Amelio out, and I still stand by that. I was like, you're just weaponizing, because you're trying to weaponize racism against racism. Like, if someone gets called out for racism, I'm not saying Charli D'Amelio or Dixie D'Amelio were, like, these white creators are like, okay, well, that person's more racist, and that's what that was giving when Dixie D'Amelio, who, by the way, is not 16 years old, she was exactly the same age as me, was just trying to weaponize Trisha's racism against Trisha calling them out. And it was just so messy looking back on it, but I think that I can focus not on Dixie and Ethan in this, because Ethan was also talking about it on Frenemies. I can just focus on the fact that that per child, Charli D'Amelio, like, not focusing on Dixie, not any, Charlie is 16 years old and is literally just getting the wrath of Trisha Paytas drama. I want to know your opinion on it.
Crazy one on the internet, I'm the mess, nobody likes me, blah blah blah, and that's, hey, that's totally fine, and I'm not worried about you. I'm commentating on poor behavior, because that's the only way you're going to be able to grow and change. And it looks like you have remorse, it looks like you're upset and crying, and I am completely sorry if people are telling you to kill yourself. That's so wrong on so many levels, but you can't.
How did Trisha manage to say that sentence to a child in a condescending way? Something not right here.
You can't go James Charles and say, keep my name out of your mouth, when your whole career and livelihood is based on
this is a child,
social media.
This is a child.
People talking about you and watching what you do. It's you call me out, but why don't we call out people that are actually being harmful and detrimental to your growth? James Charles, your parents, everyone's saying that your behavior is okay. So
Trisha's now trying to parent this child. Now keep in mind, a couple days ago we watched a video from Trisha where she said that the number one thing she wants to do is protect her child daughter whenever it comes into the world, and she was crying. She was like, all I want to do is protect her. How do you think Charli D'Amelio's parents felt whenever you were attacking their daughter online? Puts a lot into perspective now, knowing Trisha's going to be a mother to a daughter as well.
Get involved, and like, I'm just gonna say it, Trisha Paytas.
And again, I know she's a minor, but it's the people around her feeding this. It's not getting involved just to get involved. You're number one trending on Twitter right now. The Today Show is publishing articles. Like, it's so clear she's specifically calling me out because of the people in her life, specifically James Charles.
So a child.
Why are you hanging out with a minor? It was weird when Tati did it to you, and look how that turned out. And now you're hanging out with an actual, like, child. It's concerning, but all of this screams him, because he also told me to keep my name out of his mouth, when That's how you guys are making money. That's how you guys are millionaires at such a young age and owning houses.
These are all great points, but Trisha's refusing to acknowledge that on the daily she was going on frenemies and basically just calling Charlie and Dixie talentless and boring and all these kind of things, and they're ungrateful for their following. Like, she is missing so many things that she has done here, and it's just like, I don't know why the child's just overreacting. It must be James Charles. So she was throwing James, public enemy, still public enemy, in the way of trying to ignore the fact that she was also doing a lot of shady stuff about this child.
Because it's the internet. What?
So she can bully a child if she wants. It's the internet, babe.
And follows me, and I hope you guys know that.
And baby girl, in the same breath you asked me not to talk about you and I don't know you. You can't just say I'm not a nice person because, sweetheart, you don't know me.
See how condescending?
And once again, I have to remind you, this is the internet. This is social media.
So I would love someone to throw this in the face of Trisha's child. As evil as I sound in that moment, how will Trisha respond if someone goes to her child who is going to be exploited on the internet because of her parent vlogging? If Trisha's daughter then grows up and is upset by things, and then the person goes, well, this is the internet, sweetie. We can do what we want. I'm not endorsing any of that, but did you understand that scenario? Because Trisha, that's exactly what you just did. Now again, that was just a scenario. I think in terms of going to Charlie and going to Trisha's unborn child at this stage, I think both are so evil that, like, to do that. Especially whenever it's just adults coming for them. But that's what Trisha was doing. That's what Trisha was doing. So Trisha's going on this rampage now that all she wants to do is protect her daughter and she's scared for her daughter and stuff like that. You were on the internet telling a crying child you don't give a fuck that you continue harassing them because they're famous. So it's the internet, deal with it. That same logic will apply to Trisha's daughter whenever it's becoming a public figure, unfortunately, because of being featured in YouTube videos. That's what happens with family channels and why they shouldn't exist.
People are allowed to give opinions, and what I said wasn't even that bad. You have very entitled behavior, both you and your sister.
She's speaking to a child.
It's unbecoming. And just like other people in your life, I've seen you guys come and go. The sense of entitlement is not cute. It's unbecoming.
Trisha learned one smart word and she's gonna throw it in twice in one sentence. Unbecoming.
And this is not how you're gonna last on social media, no matter how many followers you have now.
That's ironic because Charlie is doing much better than, if we look at this a year on. Trish. Come on now.
Oh. Don't be having double standards.
Sorry.
So condescending.
You have been completely rude to me.
Being held accountable for your actions online, for behavior that I think is not acceptable, isn't rude.
Trisha the Almighty.
Trisha Paytas, you've been rude to me multiple times. We've never met.
So that's what she's hung up on. That she was called rude.
Or people being way harsher on you, saying you deserve to get canceled, you deserve to lose followers. I don't think so. I, of all people, have grown from people telling me, hey,
she's grown,
this isn't cool behavior. Change, that's how we grow. In all sincerity, I hope you do grow. You obviously have an it factor that people like.
It's so condescending.
But this isn't it. And I'm very thankful you called me out specifically so you can hopefully hear what I have to say and not listen to other narcissists in your life, grown adults who shouldn't be hanging out with you as a minor. I don't blame you, and I want to see what's best for you.
Sorry.
After all that, she goes, I'm just here for your best interest. I'm your fairy godmother. Girl, what the fuck?
Again, I don't wish anyone to be canceled. I give some outside perspective.
Oh, she doesn't wish for anyone to be canceled, y'all.
I give my opinions because, again, it's social media. People are allowed to give their opinions. I understand so many people hate me and dislike me and think I made poor choices.
You're in for a long run. Just wait until this time next year, babe.
And you know what? That's okay. In turn, I have a pretty good life. I do appreciate the followers I do have. I can't make everybody like me. But to call me out in a live where she's crying and saying people are telling her to kill herself, putting both together, and then in the same breath, like putting me in the same category as them, and in the same breath saying, don't talk about me. I heard you're not a nice person. Again, she's a minor. I guess she's 16. So I understand. Someone needs to...
You understand, but why are we 7 minutes into you dragging her and saying that she wasn't raised right, she has such an ego, her career's gonna leave her soon because she's so entitled?
Intervene and step in, and not her family, and not James Charles. And I really do wish her well. Truly, truly, truly.
Oh, she wishes her well,
at the end of the day. And never let influencers or anyone tell you to not comment, not give your opinions, your beliefs, your thoughts. Don't let anyone tell you not to call someone out if you think someone's in the wrong. Spreading hate is one thing and it should never be.
Does that apply to Trisha saying drama channels need to stop making videos on her?
Should never be tolerated.
She loved the drama videos this time last year.
You're allowed to have your opinions.
Oh, really?
And when people put themselves online, they have to accept other people's criticism, critiques, and opinions. Not hate, not bullying, but critiques.
Does that apply to you this time? You know what I mean? Like this time this year as well? Because they're not like necessarily good opinions on you this year. Okay, one thing I do want to say is Kelsey also sent me this live stream, which is 17 minutes long. Now, I'm not going to watch that in this video because this is so brain numbing to hear. And I don't know if I can go through 2 parts in one video without my brain. So, if you want to hear this live stream where she continues to double down on this Charli D'Amelio stuff, let me know. If you do want to have a part 2 of this, I'm just trying to figure out something to comment so that I know you watch to the end. Can't think of anything smart. Can't think of anything smart. Well, if you've watched to the end and you want a part 2, you may as well comment, Trisha Paytas is a niche internet micro-celebrity. And then I'll know, and if I get enough of them, I'll make a part 2. But Jesus, like if anyone had flipped this around on what will be Trisha Paytas' daughter, could you imagine the wrath of Trisha? As it should be, and I can't believe that Charli D'Amelio's parents didn't do that to you because of the way you're speaking about their daughter. Threatening her career gone, that she's so immature, that she's just like, oh my god. This was a 16-year-old child, and Trisha acknowledges in the video that she's 16. She's like, I'm gonna go easy, put my baby gloves on. Was that your baby gloves? Fuck me. I don't want to have your fucking adult gloves. My goodness. Anyways, Mucker, let me know your opinion. Thank you, Kelsey. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Mwah.